Hi, I'm Andrew,
And I'm Sam.
and we're MV Board Gaming, and today we're going to be taking a look at Wildtails, a Pirate Legacy by Button Shy Games. This is a 1 to 2 player game that is a legacy game using only 18 cards. So,
Mhm.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how it's played without any spoilers. So, let's go ahead and jump over there and see how it is played, and then we'll come back and give you our final thoughts. All right, I'm going to give a quick overview of how to play Wild Tales, a Pirate Legacy. So this is a legacy game, so I'm not going to do any spoilers or ruin anything for you. I have set up the very first scenario that you are going to encounter. This game does have a campaign book that you're going to have access to through this QR code, which is going to walk you through what your objectives and threats are going to be for that specific scenario. So in a game, you are going to have your objectives, your threats, your characters, and your scenario cards that are going to be here. And what you're going to be doing is you have to gather resources in order to level up your objectives, and then which are going to give you benefits as you level them up, and then ultimately defeating the threats before the end of round 7. And they are going to be trying to capture cards, and ultimately, if you do not complete your objectives and defeat the threat, you will lose. Okay, so I'm just going to walk you through real quickly how a turn is going to look for this game. And so, yeah, let's just jump right in it. So, at the beginning of your turn, whoever the first player is, they are going to control one of the characters. If you're playing solo, you'll control both of them. So, on your turn, the very first thing you're going to do is going to be check for crisis. So, you're going to look at this top of your scenario deck, and you're going to look at that banner here, and you're going to check over here with your round to see if that banner is lined up with any of these crisis symbols on the round tracker on your threat. Okay, in this example, no, we just started off. There are none that are lined up, so we do not have to worry about any crisis happening. If it did, they have a description here with your pirate log as to what happens for that crisis. Okay, so in this instance, we do not have a crisis, not something we have to worry about, so we can move on to the next step, which is going to be take an action. Now, on your turn, you get to take one action, and there are 4 different options that you can do with that. So the first is going to be where you can complete a scene event. So on the scenario card, there are 4 events listed here: 1, 2, 3, and 4. The very first event is always just going to be freely getting a resource. So all of these are going to result, if you are successful and able to do them, you're going to get resources that you're going to be able to use ultimately to upgrade or level up your objectives. Okay, so the first one is always going to be free. You would get a coin in this example. The next 2, you will always end up paying a resource in order to gain the resources next to it. And the very last one is always going to be a skill check. This one specifically is going to be a skill check for savvy. And I think that's what, as an example, I'll show you how that is going to work. So let's say I'm Samuel, and I'm going to, on my action, try to deliver a battle speech. I already have a savvy of 5. This requires a savvy of 6 in order to be successful. So what you're going to do is you are going to slide this down to reveal the topmost banner and blue number here on the scenario card behind it. And you're first going to check and see if the banners match. So this green and purple do not match. So if they did, I would automatically fail in that skill check. However, I do not fail. So then I go on and I'm going to add this number on the revealed card, and I'm going to add that to my savvy. So it's going to be 5 plus 1, which is 6. So I successfully complete this skill check. I have to either equal or be higher. So what I'm going to do is, since I successfully delivered a battle speech, I'm going to take this card and I'm going to go to the event number 4, which is going to be on the backside, and I'm going to receive those benefits, those resources. And what you're going to do is you just tuck them behind your character card, and you can have as many of those as you would like. So there is no limit. Now, after I have taken my action, I have the option to store these resources in my stronghold. So you just simply take the card and move it over to the stronghold, and the stronghold can hold up to 3 resources. So store 0 to 3 resources at your stronghold. And the only way you'll be able to retrieve those is by doing your smuggle action where on a future turn I can spend any one resource to take something from the stronghold. Okay, so that is going to be an optional thing for you to do on your turn, and then you will check for the end of the round, which is if you run out of these scenarios, these cards, that is going to mark the end of the round. All right, but let's real quickly go over the other 3 actions that you do have available to you, just so you have an idea of what those are, and that will wrap us up for this how to play. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back. So let's say as you've been playing, you're taking these actions, gathering these resources, you can gain a level on an objective as one of your actions. So let's say I've played this for a little bit and I have gotten to the point to where I have, let's just for the sake of argument, go with, I have these resources with Samuel. Okay, so I have 3 coins and 3 swords here. I am going to level up an objective. So I am going to choose, okay, I have the 3 coins. I can level up these explosives. You're going to take this objective, and I'll move this over just so you can see it a little easier. I'm going to spend those resources. So I'll spend the 3 coins and 1 swords. I'll move them off to the side because I still have some swords available. I can discard this one, but knowing that I still have 2 swords left. And I'm going to line this up to show that I have completed the first level. And I'm going to gain this benefit to where now my bravery is going to move up 1. So instead of a bravery of 4, I now have a bravery of 5. Okay. And since I'm not using any of these other resources, I might spend one of the swords to gain resources from the stronghold for future reference. But if I don't use them, I just lose those resources at the end of my turn. And as I'm going along, only I can now level up this objective. So I'd have to get 3 more coins and another swords in order to move up again and again and again. And so eventually, once you have it leveled all the way up and the other character gets theirs leveled all the way up, once you've done that, then you can do another action. So on a future turn, I can do what's called attack the threat. And so when you do that, you're going to come over here and they are going to have a skill check here for this threat of the raiders. They are looking for 5 in deception. So you have bravery, deception, and savvy. And so let's say you have Anna. She's an attack. Her savvy is 4, but because she's upgraded this, leveled up this objective all the way, she actually has 5. Now you would add, because the threat could capture cards throughout the game. If that was the case, you would add 1 for every single objective or scene that it has captured. But then you might also be able to reduce the number that's required. Anyway, if you are successful in that skill check, then you defeat the threat and you ultimately win the game. And that's all you're going to be doing. You're going to be gathering resources by completing these events on these scenario cards. You're going to be leveling up your objectives, fighting off the threat. And if all else fails and you can't or don't want to take certain cards on your turn, you can simply just discard the active scenario. And you're going to keep going until the end of round 7, or you have defeated your threat, and then that is going to tell you if you win or lose. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. I wanted to give a real brief overview of how the game works without doing any spoilers, but let's go ahead and take it back up top and give you our final thoughts.
All right, Andrew, thank you for teaching us how to play. So tell us, what are your positives when it comes to Wildtails?
So first I have to say, when we were asked to take a look at this game, I was pretty intrigued. I was very interested because it was a legacy style game. It was and only 18 cards, because that's what Button Shy is known for, 18 card games. Something that's small, quick to set up and tear down, not a heavy rules teach. This one does have quite a versatility because they literally use every aspect of the card. Like everything is used on these cards in order to make this a 9 scenario legacy style game. And so, which I think we both agree is refreshing, that there is a legacy game that doesn't take hours to play, that isn't 12, 15, 24 scenarios, that is a huge time commitment that you'll start and you'll never finish. right?
Yep. Or it'll take you a year.
Right. And it's 1 to 2 players, which is perfect for us
Yeah.
because we oftentimes play most everything at 2 players. Okay. Obviously, we have Nick and Vic that we play with, and other friends and family that we play games with as well. But this was a very intriguing game to me. So when we got the opportunity to take a look at it, jumped at it. I wanted to, as soon as we got it, I was taking a look at it, reading the rules, and kind of played through the first scenario just to make sure I knew what I was doing. And so, yeah, during this review, we're not going to spoil anything about the story or anything like that. But so I'll jump right into my positives. First and foremost, I think is a very smart way that they did it. Yes, there's there's a lot with knowing which side of the card to use and different resources on every side and the different events and everything like that. But I think it, for the most part, seems very intuitive. The iconography is very clean, so I really like that. And the art to me is beautiful. I love the art in this game. I really do. I like just looking through, looking at the different scenario cards and reading the different events. And I feel like all the events on the cards really pertain to the picture that's happening in the cards. So I really like that. And the way that the legacy, the story, and the campaign of it all is all handled through the QR code in the rule book. So you go, you scan it, and it takes you and it tells you how to set up every single scenario, who your threats are, what your objectives are, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then you just mark whether you win or lose, and it tells you what to do and how the game's going to change from scenario to scenario. So I thought that was really cool. Without having to add too much more to this, you could just easily scan a QR code and follow it that way.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. So I thought it was really, really interesting as to how they got the game to work. There was a lot of push and shove in the game, which I really liked, because there was a lot of times where it was like, okay, yes, I have my own objective that I have to go for, but I also have a teammate and I need to make sure that maybe we need to work together to get one person their objective so that then maybe they can focus on keeping the threat down, and then we can kind of focus on the other player completing their objective. So I really like that, and having to make those tricky decisions there of who needs what resources. Because for me, this game really comes down to resource management. That's what it is, right? You have to manage those scenario cards of the resources that I need. Is it worth it to take that card and have a smaller scenario deck? And so it can be really tricky with those decisions. And I like that it still has that meaty decision making of, okay, do I take this resource, but then my deck's a little bit smaller for next time. So I want to make sure if I'm getting resources this round, I'm going to be able to spend it so it goes back in the discard so then I have enough cards. Because if you don't have a lot of cards, then the next round is extra short, right? Because we've times where we've had rounds where it's only 3 cards and it's like, oh my gosh. And the game goes by a lot faster than you think. And so you really got to think about, okay, is it worth just taking this one card for this coin or for this barrel or for these swords? Or do I need to get rid of it until I can maybe spend something to get better resources or maybe do a skills check that's going to help me out more in a future thing? Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. So those would be a lot of my positives. I could keep going on, to be honest, but I'll let you speak since I'm a little long-winded.
Well, for me, I thought I'm a fan of button shy games anyway, just because it's like, especially with a newborn, being able to play these games that are more set up and longer to play is a challenge. Sorry. So I've been thankful.
If you hear the baby, she's in the corner sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay. So please, if you hear coos and ahs, that's what that is.
Yeah.
But sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can't be serious with her cooing in the background. But anyway, yeah. So having her, it's been easier to be able to play games like this. But the fact that it is a legacy game, and it is only 9 games is awesome. I think legacy games are hard to get to the table because they take so long. And like you said, it is a commitment, and it could take you could start one and then it's like it goes a year or longer and you're like, oh yeah, hey, we never finished that. I mean, because that kind of sucks because then you come back and you're like, oh, I forgot like what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. So it's really hard to get to the table and play. So this is something that if you want to play a legacy game and get it, be able to finish it like
Because each
fairly
scenario
quickly.
is maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, this is
I
like
think that's
this
what it
is
says.
awesome.
Yeah,
I
30
think it's
minutes.
cool too that it's like you're literally reusing the cards like over and over and over again. So it's like there's not a lot to it. And then like you said, I like the resource management. I like games with that anyway, so I
Mm-hmm.
think that was cool. And then the artwork is cool as well.
It's gorgeous.
The theme, I mean, you don't, I feel like the theme is kind of, it's a cool theme, like little animals and it's
Yeah,
like
your
as
animal
pirates.
pirates. Yeah.
But I don't think it feels like it's not thematic in that
Mm-hmm.
way. I think, but it is a cool idea. So those are my positives.
Right, you are pretty much just getting resources and trying to move up those objectives and
Yeah.
fight off this
Besides the
person.
story.
Right, you're collecting symbols.
Yeah.
The story was fine. I didn't think it was a bad story. I mean, yes, you're animals like anthropomorphic pirates during the American Revolution time, right?
Yeah.
And you're right off the coast of New Orleans, right? And that's
Yeah.
not really a spoiler, so just kind of set the scene. But yeah, I wasn't crazy about the theme, but I enjoyed the story. I mean, I actually
Yeah.
did enjoy it, and it made sense what I was doing. Like, oh, okay, where this is happening. Oh, okay, this is happening. Oh, this makes sense. These are our objectives. Okay, that makes sense. That's our threat. It
Mm-hmm.
does play into it. Yes, it's mostly just collecting icons and managing those to spend them correctly. But yeah. So what about negatives? Did you have any negatives for the game?
Um, I mean, negatives, I think it kind of sucked with like the luck of what cards were coming out as far as resources. So it's like if you're moved all the way up and I'm trying to move up or vice versa and the resources just aren't coming out,
Right.
then you may end up losing because you're like you just it's luck of what kind of is coming out. Obviously you have to be able to manage those resources that you get, but if you're not really getting them in general, that I
Mm-hmm.
think is a negative for me just because it's like sometimes that's just how it is that you just can't get what you need. So that would probably be my only negative.
Yeah, there's definitely luck. Luckily, the game is short, so I
Mhm.
mean, win or lose, you can easily set up and go again, kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, there is definitely some luck, so keep that in mind. You know, you might just not get the resource cards that you need at the time that you need them. Um, so there is that. Obviously, there's luck when it comes to the skill checks, which is going to happen because if the symbols match, then you automatically fail, or you just might
Mhm.
not get the value that you need in order to win the fight or to pass the skills check. So there's always that possibility with this. Um, I will say that there is a natural progression in difficulty in this game. I
Yes.
didn't really hit on this. This is kind of a positive for me, though. Like at the beginning, the first four scenarios are pretty. I feel like we did
Easy.
really well, like pretty good. I was like, okay, I'm feeling real confident.
Mhm.
Then you get to 5 and 6, and it's a bump up, and then you get to
Mhm.
7, 8, or no, it's maybe I can't remember. I know when you get to 9, it's super. At least to me, it felt like a real difficult.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
there is that possibility where you start off and you're like, oh, we're going to lose. Like, I just know we're going to lose right off the bat. And we
Mhm.
definitely had some of those games. But again, luckily you can, swipe it away. And I don't think the losses really affect you too much. And what's nice in this game is that after you've lost 3 times, you just will naturally progress. So you're not stuck in the same scenario for,
Yeah.
5, 10 rounds. You'll just naturally progress after you have lost 3 times over a course of a couple games. It's not each scenario 3 losses, it's like every two. So it's like
Mhm.
6, 7. If you've lost 2 times, you naturally progress or something like that. But 9 is very difficult in my opinion. I was just like, I think we lost 3 times, 2 or 3 times at least.
Mhm.
Um, and so it was like, wow, that was difficult, but it was nice that it was still challenging for a game that probably seems a little lighter because it comes in a little wallet, but it is deceiving because it can be very challenging as you get to the end.
Mhm. Right.
So yeah, I don't have a ton of negatives other than it is very lucky, but I mean it is what it is. Um, and just hoping to get those resources or those skill checks. Sometimes they go your way, sometimes they don't. But I mean
Mm-hmm.
that's the pirate's life for me. You know what I'm saying? So so yeah, I don't have a ton of negatives. I think it works. I think if you ask, does this 18 card legacy game, does it work? I think the answer is yes. I think it works
Mm-hmm.
very well. And what's nice is it's resettable. Like those, you're going to be having stickers and stuff, but they come off. You don't have to certainly mark things if you want to be able to reset it later. Um, and so you'll be able to reset and play through it again. And so I think that's really, really cool. Just the way that they did it, and they really did utilize every space on the cards.
Yeah.
And so yeah, hats off to Button Shy when it comes to Wildtails. So let's go ahead and we'll jump in to our final scores because I just keep going. So I'll let you go first. What is your score for Wildtails?
For me, I think I'm gonna give it a 7,
Okay,
even. Yeah.
7 even, really. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right. I'm gonna give this an 8.3. I really liked it. I think like if
Mm-hmm.
you're new to Legacy games, if you're looking for a nice, decent stepping on point that's not a big commitment, I think start with this. This is something simple,
Right.
gets you in that groove, and you can easily get your group together because it could be just you and a partner or a
Yeah.
friend or whatever, or you can play it solo because all you're doing is controlling both characters. So it's very easy.
I do like it that it's cooperative too. I had to add that for my
Yes.
positive
Yeah, and
because
it's
I
cooperative,
forgot
so
to say that.
that's good too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like I'll say this, I feel like there are some really nice decisions in like when you get to some of the legacy stuff, things that you get to do and change the game. I think it changes enough to where it keeps it exciting and interesting. So
Right.
I like that. So that's why, yeah, it gets an 8.3 for me. I really thought this was a solid game. We played it a lot. I mean, literally, we've played this quite a bit in the last couple of weeks
Mm-hmm.
because I think we've only had the game for a couple of weeks, but we've played through all of it.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, very solid game. So yeah, that is going to be Wild Tales, a pirate legacy. Go check it out if you got a chance, and experience this 18 card legacy game. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So
Mm-hmm.
until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.